So I guess like when I first was introduced to this issue, I was unsure of how to vote. I had a lot of really close friends telling me that I didn't know enough and telling me that they thought that this was bad for our student body. And I agreed with them in that I didn't know enough. There was an entire community on this campus that I had never met before, that I had never even seen or heard from. And when I finally got to hear about them and their pain and what they cared about, you know, I learned and my decision became a lot more clear. And so when I hear someone saying that like this bill has been bad for our community, for our campus climate, I have to respectfully, of course, disagree. Because our students, what is the point of having student groups on campus? Each one has an ideology or an activity or something that they care about. Each one has, I mean, a lot of them are cultural. A lot of them are here tonight. A lot of them support this bill. And so I think that in doing this, we're not, you know, saying, okay, well, we'll give the student group money, we'll give the student group money. I feel like the point of giving these groups money is to give them their voice. Is to let them say what they want to say and do what they want to do. And it seems to me that this is what you guys want to do. You want to talk and you want to be heard. And this is the first time that I have ever seen on this campus where people are listening to you, where people like me who are white and privileged and in the mainstream are listening to you. You know what I mean? And it's the first time that I've been able to get to know you. And I've made a lot of new friends and I feel like I have a new community here. And so when people say that this bill is divisive and that it's bad for this campus community, for this campus climate, I have to say that you are wrong.
Because the more I listen to everyone, to the pro, to the con, the more my decision is reinforced. My decision to override the veto, I believe it doesn't further hate and it doesn't further polarization. And my vote doesn't speak for only one small group of students, which some have argued, and I'm assuming this is the Palestinian students. My vote speaks with, and it speaks on behalf of over 40 student organizations that have been read, over 100 professors. It speaks with the men who preach God's word with humility, and it speaks with over 2/3 of this room. And with all due respect to the chair, I, as senator, don't just have one voice. I return to my community and I ask what the best decision is. And I let my vote to override the veto speak with and for them. So basically what I'm trying to say is, I understand that this veto, my decision to override the veto speaks on behalf of the Latino, the Black, the queer, the engineers, the Armenians, the Jewish students that all share their personal stories and voice their support for this bill. I'm not saying it speaks on behalf of those entire communities, but it does speak on behalf of students from those communities that have shared their opinions. But still, I understand, right? In the end, this is an individual vote. And that's fine with me because this speaks for me. I believe we need to divest, and that we need to divest from these two companies because it's peaceful, but it's still economically aggressive. So I say this especially because in Arizona, they just passed a very racist policy, right? That criminalizes my people, that legalizes racial profiling. And our current California President Pro Tem has said that he's in conversation with Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger and talking about divesting from Arizona. So if California is going to divest from Arizona, we can have this conversation of divesting from two companies. So I want to say it's a small step, and it's a small step toward change. Maybe even neutrality for those that see it as we are investing in one side, let's stop. But the importance of the small step is that we as a Berkeley campus should not be afraid. We shouldn't be afraid because fear for far too long has dictated our lives. And even if the minority of this Senate wishes to dictate the Senate's overall decision, I stand firm and I'm going to vote to override the veto.
I just wanted to address the previous speaker's point about how this subject is too complex. I'm kind of surprised because we go to Berkeley, we're like supposedly the number one public university. We have all these classes, and it teaches us to engage in these complex issues. And so I don't know what you've been doing, but maybe you can come to class with me tomorrow. So along with that, I'm a peace and Conflict Studies major. I'm the Peace and Conflict Studies representative in the IAS International Area Studies Coalition or Council. And Peace and Conflict is one of those Berkeley majors, quote unquote Berkeley majors. And then everyone that I've talked to in my department is really confused of why people are very iffy about this subject, and they don't see why people who are voting against this don't see the human right violations or just the wrongness of investing into American corporations that supply war crimes. I bring this up because it's funny that Berkeley is home to all these great movements, like Senator Boone mentioned, and is home to the Peace and Conflict Studies major, but it's not passing this bill. I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. It's also ironic that current people who are blocking this vote, so if you want to raise your hand to distinguish yourself if you're blocking this vote, do so the crowd can see. It's funny, so that's the minority vote. Sponsored the bill last week to take out the minority vote in California legislation. It's hypocrisy to call out minority rule, yet practice it here. Also, finally, someone mentioned the UC San Diego divestment bill died. This is really sad, and my heart is actually really breaking. And this is unfortunate, but obviously sometimes people vote wrong. Prop 13 passed, and now there's minority rule. Prop 209 passed, and now less people of color come to this university. Prop 8 just passed last year, and I can't marry the man that I love. So if this vote does not get overridden, shame on you. You are now part of wrong voters. Like Prop 13.
I would like to add that yes, you can make a decision on this issue because we are humans. And humans feel and can empathize the other pains of other humans, especially when enough research and talk has been about this certain issue. You don't need to have cancer to know that it hurts. Make a decision. Let's do right. Override this feeling.
I don't know everything about Palestine. I don't know everything about Israel. I don't know everything about that conflict, but I know right from wrong when I see it. And I know and I just want to say that if we fail you as a Senate tonight, that is not reflective of us. That is reflective of us, but it is not reflective of all of you that are here, all of you who've been working so hard, and all of you who've been having those conversations that are really hard to have. So I want to say that the majority of people in this room are supporting this bill, and the majority of people on the Senate are supporting this bill. Do not let this one veto, one person's vote, take away 13 voices on this Senate and the multiple voices on others that we've already won in so many ways, because our strength has never come from votes. Our strength has always come from each other, and it's come from allyship and what we've created here tonight and what we've created here for the past month and what we're going to continue to create. This issue is not going anywhere, and we're going to continue, and I just want to say thank you all for keeping me as a part of this experience.